Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the very first round of the 9th season of competition for Apex Rear Wing. We're here at the international layout of Silverstone for the very first round with the Super Tourers. My name is Stairs, and joining me in commentary for the first time in Apex Rear Wing in a live stream is Liam Harrison, or Madbird, I should say. I was reading the super on the bottom of the screen.
Hello, Stairs. Yes, very nice to be here. I'm taking a small little break from racing, so it frees me up to be here in the commentary box with your fine self. And I'm very keen to talk about some people that I know a lot better than most of the other people I commentate about.
So you'll bring some of that insider knowledge. You're the one who's been wheel to wheel with them more recently than I have, so it should be very interesting to bring that insight into the box.
Yeah, hopefully. Wheel to wheel with some of them more than others, but regardless, yes.
Let's have a look at the guys now in their practice session, and on track at the moment. We're currently looking at Ziras limping around the track on the outside of the racing line. And
yeah, it's a beautiful car, that one, and I use the word beautiful quite wrongly. Inspired by Top Gear, of course, with the Larsons / Peniston sponsorships.
So currently at the top of the timesheets is Berto. Very, very close, it has to be said, though, with Ziras, just 1/100th of a second behind. And they have all been quite closely matched in the pre-season. They've done quite a few weeks of testing, quite a few months of deliberating before this season got underway. And they've come up with this. And so far, we've got 3 drivers inside 1/10th of a second.
Yeah, and Resist is only about 100th of a second out of that 10th of a second to the lead. So looking like a tasty scrap for the top positions at the moment.
So while we run the clock down on this practice session, we're just going to have a quick look at the liveries on the entry list for today. So we've got a new driver with us, Zalingier. I actually forgot to ask him how he pronounces his name. He's teaming up with Resist, Berto and Goofball Antics. We just saw Goofball Antics on the screen before. Defending champion, 6 times a champion, Ziras, alongside Netherelmian in the Outworld car. Tyrrell joins us again alongside Tim Shed Racing's Sam Smith. Peniston Oils Racing Ziras, and Bagsy not here just yet, but he will be with us shortly, I'm told. Brenton Foley and Roadhog round out the grid, and we also have later on a roadie joining us. He's just got some issues with his sponsor at the moment, so hasn't been able to join us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe I asked him earlier in the practice session how to pronounce his name, Zalingier that is, and he said, "Oh, not this again." So I'm guessing either Zalinger or Zalingier is fine. And he's a recent recruit brought in by Tyrrell, and he's currently sitting 8th in the timing sheets, only just a little bit behind Roadhog and just a bit ahead of Ziras. So pretty decent company to be in for your first championship race with ARW.
It looks like we have got Josh Bagsy in the server. He hasn't set a lap yet, just currently set up in the pit lane. But he's racing the Pokar Racing Sweat car, a nod to his old V8 supercar livery from a few seasons ago, where he raced the Pokari Sweat liveried car, which was quite successful for him. He ended up winning a race there in the Monza circuit, I believe it was.
Yeah, he a fantastic strategy call in that particular race to take out the win. There's not going to be too much strategy in this season, though, Stairs. Basically 2 sprint races.
Yes, 1 sprint race, which will be 60 kilometres in length, and a second sprint race with a reverse grid order, which will also be 60 kilometres in length. So the first race will have a qualifying session of 10 minutes to determine the order, and then the order for the second race will be determined by the results from the first race, not including non-finishes, of course. So you still have to finish 75% of the race in order to qualify for the reverse grid. You can still start the reverse grid if you don't finish race 1, but you won't be able to start from the front of the grid if you retire early in that race.
Absolutely. We've got we've got Brian Walsh in the chat saying looks good. Thank you very much, Walshy. They are some pretty good looking cars out there, especially Bagsy's Picari Sweat car, which I'm a big fan of. And
we're hyping it up. We haven't seen it yet, but we will.
It's still sitting. I'm looking at it in the garage on the back of the car where it would usually have the license plate. It just says Sweat, which is somewhat pleasing. And we've also got our friend Lewis Wedding in the chat saying hope to see some biff, fair biff though. And yes, I believe we expect to see some of that ourselves. These BTCC cars are the sort of cars that you generally see rubbing against each other quite a lot.
And thanks to Rody for the feedback on the sound. We've just turned them down a little bit. Let us know if that is better. And you can hear us loud and clear. Or not.
So we're going to hope that these cars, when battling, won't be obeying social distancing guidelines. We want them very close to each other out there on the track. And at the moment, we've got Birdo and Ziras tussling. It is only practice session, but they are right up amongst each other.
Here they are on track. Ziras in the BMW 320i. He said he preferred the rear-wheel drive BMW to the front-wheel drive cars that most of it. In fact, I think every other car is a front-wheel drive car. Birdo in the Renault behind him there.
Yeah, and Foley, the only other driver in the BMW, which seems to suit his driving style, as we saw last season in the DRMs. He spends most of his laps sideways, and he's currently on an absolute flyer by the looks of it. It is only practice, of course, so he might be shooting his wad, as they may say, a little bit too early.
Showing his hand.
As I think I said during the previous season, on one particular occasion when he was behind me, I saw him sideways through every single corner, but somehow not losing any time to me. I said that he drives like a dick, and it's very annoying.
He's just bettered his personal best by 0.2 of a second there. And comments coming through for Brenton Foley's BMW. Termo says, looks sick. And it's hard to disagree with that. I see he's gone for a retro look there with the mobile livery, and there he is sliding his way through the Maggots corner into that chicane. Hasn't quite worked out for him there, but he's certainly proved your previous statements to be correct, Madbird.
Absolutely. I should specify he drives like a dick, and it's very annoying for those around him because he by all rights he should be very slow the way that he drives, but he isn't, which is quite frustrating. It's slightly odd in his livery seeing the PBF of PBF Race Engineering in lowercase.
Yeah, but that's
about the only criticism I have.
I think that's to replicate the mobile logo. I can see why he's done it there, but I also see your argument. Sam Smith with the traditional Peugeot colours there. He's been underplaying his chances, I think. It was very quiet in practice tonight, but he's only 0.02 of a second off the time set by Birdo, so looking like he could be a threat tonight. And as you can see, he and Ziras are quite close on track as this practice session comes to an end.
To be fair, how often do you hear Sam Smith being like boastful or talking himself up?
He does like his ego.
Yeah, I've never heard him say, oh yeah, I'm a dead cert for tonight, guys, or I feel really confident. He's always, oh yeah, I'll see how I go. Can I wash my feet in your bathtub?
Inside story there. Perhaps you might need to fill in the listeners.
A Bathurst 12-hour back in February. Before, of course, it feels weird to think that we're all piling into two cars and driving across the country mere 4 months ago even. But he had quite dirty feet because he wore thongs the entire day, and he came back to our Airbnb and asked if he could wash his feet in our bathtub. And we let him. At least he was wearing pants.
Well, I guess
unlike
shorts,
some people I met that weekend.
Shorts count as pants, except they don't. But you know what I'm saying. He was wearing leg sleeve. What's the word for a leg sleeve?
Oh my goodness.
I've got off topic. No, but it's not
He
a
was
pant
wearing
because
leg coverings.
It's a short
Leg
lock-up
coverings.
from Ziras, just in front of Sam Smith. It's something that was commented on during practice. Was lots of lockups.
Yes, they seem to be tearing strips off their tyres at every single opportunity. So I'm not sure how long these tyres are supposed to last. Obviously, the entire race in theory, but
yeah, no pit stop.
Some people are going to be wearing them out a lot faster than others, I think, and I reckon Foley will be one of them. And Sam Smith is Sam Smith's the sort of driver that always seems to have lockups, but doesn't really realise that he's doing it. As I say that, he's driving through a smoke cloud left by Ziras ahead of him.
I think Sam has mellowed a little bit in the twilight of his life. As he's got on. When he first started, I'm kidding, of course, but when he first started, he was the type of guy who would set these laps that would make everyone ooh and ah the way that Foley did, very much on the limit of adhesion, especially when we were doing the shootout type laps. But I think he's become a little bit more reserved in the way that he attacks qualifying sessions now.
In the twilight of his years, correct. Yes, he is calmed down somewhat once he's reached senility, and he is now he's not that old really. We're talking it up quite a lot, but yes, he seems to have calmed down a little bit, and I think he's a lot smarter about playing his cards close to his chest.
Well, he very nearly won the last champion. I was going to say last year's championship. It is actually last year's championship in the DRMs, but then he didn't when he crashed into Resist, and that pretty much put an end to his chances of winning that championship.
It was a sore spot, absolutely, definitely an awkward meeting when they met at Bathurst for the first time, but they got over it pretty quickly. Stairs, I believe we have just entered the qualifying session.
We most certainly have. So it's a 10-minute session. I'm just trying to bring up some info about the session, but I am having some difficulties. So if you would kindly fill in a little bit of time for me, Matt.
Absolutely, I can do that. So we've got Lewis in the chat. I'm completely missed. We've got Michael Zalavari, aka Floodman, our friend and co-commentator, saying, "Hey fams, keen to watch this. Just as keen as we are to commentate it." Lewis Wedding saying, "Shame the curbs aren't bigger. We won't see any two-wheel action here." Funny you mentioned the curbs. The track cuts around this particular version of Silverstone are apparently absolutely brutal. So the track cuts have been up to 9 for the race, because basically the white line counts as the outside of the track. So the moment that your fourth wheel touches that white line, you are given a track cut. So I think we're going to see a lot of invalidated laps during this qualifying session, Stairs.
Yeah, so that it's probably going to, as you say, be a bit more of an issue during qualifying than it will be for the race.
9 is quite generous. It's basically one track cut every other lap that they're allowed to do before they get a penalty. So I guess we'll see if anyone's unlucky enough to go past that. So if you log on to arwleague.liveraces.com, you'll get our live timing, but unfortunately the track map doesn't seem to be working at the moment, so we can't tell you who is on track based on that. What I can tell you based on the sheet in front of me is that there's 2 cars not yet out on the track, and that is Brenton Foley and D-Smash. Yeah, biding their time a little bit. It's been quite a few seasons since we've had a actual qualifying session at ARW. We've been doing shootout style qualifying for a good 4, 5 seasons, maybe more.
Easier to follow actually than these sessions. So these laps come in thick and fast, and it can be difficult to know where to look. But it looks to me that Ziras is the first man on the racetrack at the moment, as he's come through the first corner with Sam Smith behind him.
Yeah, he is indeed, and of course is probably going to be the favourite to take the championship this year, as we've already discussed. But he has been playing down his own chances, as he always does. But based off the times we've been seeing, it is going to be mighty close between himself and Sam Smith and Birdo in particular. And his brother Phil, slash Resist, not too far behind either.
Yeah, Resist is a driver who's getting faster and faster with every passing season, and was very close to winning races last season in the DRMs, but it just didn't quite fall his way. His choice of car probably hindered him a little bit. That thing was thirstier than blue collar worker on pension day. Look at that, Ziras slideways through the final part of the lap, and very, very, very stylish. The fastest lap is Resist. He's got the fastest first sector, but the fastest second sector's gone to Sam Smith before we've seen any lap times.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Must have been while I was
point that out myself.
Commentating on
I was going to say something that's completely gone, but it doesn't matter because Ziras had just crossed the line to record our first lap, a 1:26.9. Sam has crossed behind him about a tenth of a second shy of that particular lap time. So the fastest middle sector did not help Sam any. Possibly was distracted by Ziras's incredible smoke show going through, I believe that was Priory. And Birdo goes fastest by 26 hundredths of a second, or sorry, 200ths of a second.
Man, I want to look at his Resist, because he's just gone across the line. Purple in first and second sector. We lost live timing in the middle of that, but he has continued his run and has set the fastest lap after crossing the finish line himself. So he goes nearly 0.2 of a second faster than Birdo.
That is a blisteringly quick time. Very well done to Phil. I did say in the pre-season testing to Resist that I reckon he's going to get a race win this season, and he was very quick to say, "Oh, don't jinx me," but I reckon
is up.
He's going nowhere but up. Considering he only started racing with us 4 seasons ago, and he was a regular podium sitter, or would have been a regular podium sitter last season. He did get a couple, but he probably would have been up there a lot more often if some bad luck hadn't come his way.
Now remember, Ziras had the car all sorts of out of control on his first flying lap. He was up by a significant margin on the first sector and the second sector, and he's lost a little bit of time through the final sector, but it's enough to pip his brother Resist into provisional pole position. Birdo has stayed third, Sam Smith fourth, and Goofball Antics in fifth. Goofball actually only did one lap and then came straight back in, whereas Ziras and Resist, it looks like, are doing multiple laps. In fact, Resist has gone back to the pits, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, Heathy has just begun Goofball Antics has just begun his next flying lap, although he's immediately crossed over the line, I think, and gotten a corner cut because he's gone straight back to the pits. So I think there's going to be quite a lot of that during this practice session, qualifying session, but we've only got 4 minutes and 52 seconds remaining.
So it was a good first sector time again from Ziras. He was up on his own personal best. I'm also keeping an eye on Sam Smith to see if he can improve, because he doesn't need to find that much, only about a tenth or two to jump up into third place. But as Ziras has actually lost a fair bit of time through that middle sector, so he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to improve again. In fact, he's gone back to the pits, so he's realised that he can't do anything about that lap. Let's see what Sam Smith can do.
Brenton Foley, sorry to cut across you, just went fastest through the first sector. No second sector time recorded, so I reckon he's cut the track, which is going to be very disappointing for him, because he was a solid tenth of a second faster than anybody through the first sector.
And he hasn't actually got a lap in yet either, so he's not on the board as it stands.
Yeah, that driving like a dickhead isn't going to help him with the track cut situation, I don't think.
Oh.
He's gonna have to pull his head in a little bit, I reckon.
Yes. Heads will need to be pulled in.
Who else are we waiting for? So Brenton Foley, Zallinger, Diesamage and Tyrrell all yet to set a lap time. And we appear to have lost Bagsy. I'm not sure what's happened there.
Well, we did have word through that he injured himself trying to ride a skateboard. Must have seen that there was a remastered version of Tony Hawk coming out and couldn't wait.
I've gotten information through the Facebook Messenger saying he made it back home and just in time to find that his accelerator is rooted, no input whatsoever, so he's out for tonight unless he can troubleshoot it, which he's presumably trying to do now.
That sounds
That's
like a bit of a
damn shame.
doozy. It is a shame. It is a
He
big
was
shame.
rushing home specifically to take part, and then to have an equipment failure is a bloody shame.
Not a lot going right in his life right now. I mean, right now. Could all turn around tomorrow.
At this particular
At
moment.
this particular moment, yeah.
It made it sound a lot darker than than you meant it to be. And I mean, fair enough too.
So what has Foley got? I'm
What
not
has
seeing
Foley got?
Sam Smith on. In fact, Sam Smith has jumped up into second unbeknownst to us because we were talking about Bagsy, and Foley looks like he's opted out of this lap as well. He's taken the shortcut across the chicane at the
So at this
Maggots complex.
At this rate, we're going to have 4 drivers with no laps on the board whatsoever. No lap times. Decimage is the only driver currently with no laps completed full stop, but he is trying to set that right at this very moment, I believe.
Tyrrell just starting a lap. Looks like he'd lost about 2 seconds on the lap that he was on, and he's gone straight on. So didn't have enough tyres or fuel or both for another run, and he's going straight back out. We've got 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining, so just enough time to get out and get one more flying lap in.
Yeah, probably wouldn't want to leave it any longer than this. Zarlinger has set a lap time, and he is good enough for 6th at the moment. Squeezed himself in between Goofball Antics and Roadhog.
It's not bad for his first race in Apex Rewing. First official race.
Absolutely.
So Resist, his teammate, will be happy with that. The only 2 teammates in this race.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a dull teams championship. Can't wait for you to announce in the Slack at the halfway point of the season that Black Flag Industries
Excuse me?
Racing have taken out the teams championship.
What an unfortunate starter. But yeah, I mean,
My
they have to both outscore Ziras, or whoever ends up winning the championship.
I don't see that happening.
It's probably a good point actually to bring up the points that we're using for this championship.
A good point to bring up the points. Very well done.
A good. Berto's gone top. I was just watching that out of the corner of my eye, and he's found 300ths of a second on the time set by Ziras. So that is a very good lap from Berto.
Absolutely. I was about to say that we're not seeing the close tussle at the top that we saw during practice.
And Ziras is in the pits, so there's no right of reply for Ziras. So it's up to one of the other guys to see whether they can jump ahead of Berto here.
Oh, Sam Smith isn't going to. He just flew sideways across the gravel and exited back to the pits. Phil has Resist has crossed the line with about 10 seconds remaining, so he is the only one of the top 4 that is going to have an opportunity to reply.
So it's between them. But Foley's just jumped into 4th place there, and Resist has got it all to do now. He's down in 5th, and he isn't troubling the timing screen there. He's down by 1/10 of a second on his own personal best, so it's going to be a mountain to climb for Brenton for Resist. I think Berto might have it, Madbird.
I reckon he will. I don't think Resist has got 0.2 of a second in him. And especially not on this particular lap. While we've been talking about this, James has finished a lap, or Decimage, sorry, and is in 7th place. So
good.
Tyrrell, the only man not to set a lap at this stage.
He has set a lap now. Yeah, Tyrrell.
I do apologise. Completely missed that. So we're going to have everyone finish a lap, which is mighty fine indeed. And Resist is not going to improve. I don't think that's controversial to state at this stage.
We like it that way. Uncontroversial.
No, we
It's a bit of a distraction from a car going off in front of him a little bit there, but I don't think he was troubling the timing board as it was. So it might be that I eat humble pie here, but I don't think Resist is going to improve here, and indeed he doesn't. So he stays in 5th place, and it's Berto who takes the chocolates.
Absolutely. Did you see the gap between Foley and Resist by any chance, Stairs? 1,000th of a second. So that's going to rub it in even deeper into Resist that he only missed out by that 1,000th of a second. So he will be starting on the 3rd row of the grid as opposed to the 2nd row of the grid, and that 1,000th is the only thing that caused that.
Salt and wound are in alignment. Now, this is
They
probably
are
actually a better point to talk about points is now, after the qualifying session is over, as opposed to while it's all still happening. So maybe we'll do that now. So to reiterate, what we haven't yet said, so therefore we aren't reiterating, we're iterating.
To iterate it, yes.
To iterate, we used in previous rounds of the Apex Rear Wing Championships, we've been doing the MotoGP points, which gives you 25 points for a win all the way down to 15. Because we're replicating as best we can the BTCC Championship from 1996, we're using the points system that was used back then, which awards points all the way down to 10th place, with 15 for a win, 12 for second, 10 for third, and so on and so forth. But we're also awarding points for pole positions, so that means that Birdo leads the championship, Mad Bird.
Yes, absolutely, with that single point. If the championship was called right now due to, global pandemic or some other
can't see that happening.
Inconceivable thing, then he would technically win the championship. But of course, we do have a whole season of sim racing here to complete. But that extra little point could make the difference at the end of the season. We'll have to wait and see.
Very much could do. We're just running you through the liveries again, so you can be reminded that is the Picari sweat car that we didn't see, and we won't be seeing tonight because of Bagsy's unfortunate throttle issue that was detailed earlier in the broadcast.
Yeah, it's a damn shame, but sometimes bad things happen.
To good people.
I'm not sure where I was going with that. Yes, to good people. Thank you. Or it was just going to be a Jungian statement of fact. Sometimes bad things happen.
Sorry, my mouse has stopped working. Excuse me.
That is absolutely fine. So we're currently just in a warm-up session. All the boys probably doing a practice start, I am going to assume, and it indeed looks like that is the case.
It has started working now. So that is Decimage in the Top Gear inspired car. Lots of words on the back of that car.
Lots and lots of words indeed. There's a very, very wide spacing between the rows. I wonder if that's what it's like in the race itself, or if there is indeed. No, I am a silly Billy. There are still two cars to squeeze in there, and there of course is Foley, and we are awaiting third place man Sam Smith, who is still making his way around from Luffield.
Unfortunately, not very good camera angles for the start of this race. This isn't the race, of course. This is the warm-up session, in case you've just joined us.
Don't panic. You haven't missed... Well, you've missed qualifying.
They're waiting for Sam Smith. There's a little bit of a tyre mark there, which shows just how precision that entry to his box was. Very good at that, entry to the box with precision. That's a better camera angle.
That was a decent start there for Ziras. He'd like to replicate that in the race.
Well, the rear-wheel drive car, I wonder if it just squats off the line a little bit better than the front-wheel drive Renault.
I know what you mean, but just the word squat made me giggle.
Yes. It's a bit like the word moist.
I don't have a problem with the word moist.
No, I don't have a problem either.
A lot of people
it is
do.
A word, though.
It is indeed a word. That's a lovely camera angle.
It is. So this is what we get to look forward to in a few moments' time when we actually get underway with the race.
This is all a bit of a tease, isn't it?
It is a bit.
I've never actually commentated a practice start before. I now understand how sort
awkward
of
it is.
You're watching it like, and I hope the real race is like this, and most of the time the real race is probably an absolute shambles.
I have to say, the warm-up practice starts normally are an absolute shambles. That was remarkably clean for a warm-up practice start. So
it was.
That actually does bode quite well.
Replicate that.
Yeah. Certainly they won't have the same difficulty they had with the DRM cars getting off the line, because those cars, the DRMs, were an absolute nightmare. We saw quite a few start line incidents, not least of which from the very first round of the DRM season. I don't want to bring this up, but I am, between yourself, Mad Bird, and Ziras.
They were those cars were not built to be stand start.
No.
They were meant to be rolling start, so the only way to get it moving really was to just completely drop the clutch and floor it, try to keep the revs high, which also coincidentally is the least stable way to start a car. So, on a couple of occasions, I found myself spearing into other cars on the start.
You weren't
most
the only
dramatically the first round, but
Didn't cost him.
didn't cost him. No, well, you could say butterfly effect. If I hadn't crashed into him, he wouldn't have eventually crashed into the wall and lost a wheel. But let's not discuss any further. We have raced a similar layout to this once before in ARW Stairs. Do you remember it?
Do you mean the old GP layout?
Yes, when we did in the Brazilian stock cars, the bridge layout.
Remember it well. We're actually racing that layout again later on in this season. Did you know?
I did not know that. That's a lovely surprise.
Yes, in true Corona style, we're visiting the same circuits multiple times, but with slightly different configurations.
Yeah, I heard a rumor that they're doing the second Silverstone race is going to be backwards. Is that correct?
I haven't heard that, but I know
Okay.
it will be referred to as the 70th anniversary Grand Prix as opposed to the British Grand Prix.
That's a
It's
horrible
all gone.
accident.
It has all gone right. And actually, it was a horrible accident, but they're all facing the right way once again, with probably a little bit more damage than they
It was
started with.
actually not a horrible accident after all. It was quite a tame accident.
Michael
well,
Zalavari
that
lamenting
was-
that. Oh, there's a
Oh,
car
my-
on its roof there. I think that's Berto. I could just see the yellow
That
in
is.
the brief glimpse of it that I did get. Ziras is just having fun there, I think, in his very 90s inspired livery. Cool S on the
that
side.
Was, a cool S on the side, which, as we discovered recently, has a Wikipedia page.
And so it should.
To my great surprise.
Toast has a page. As in, like cooked bread.
Yes, that is what toast is.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Oh dear.
Got flat
I think
fans like Michael. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think they're getting tired of this warm-up. That what was clean has turned into very not so clean. Lots of accidents. I think you're just going to mention Michael Zalavari there.
Yes, just said
Our
that,
friend and colleague.
that we need more Volvo.
He's
Or as,
lamenting the lack of Volvo.
or as Roadhog would call it, of love.
It's Volvo backwards.
It is. It is indeed Volvo backwards.
I think Roadhog would have quite liked to race a Volvo with when he had his. I think he used Swedish on one of the iterations of his team name, which loosely translated to crotch explosion.
Thrust velocity, wasn't
That's
it?
the
Crotch
one.
explosion. Thrust velocity or
That's
something.
it. Yes. I remember the German. I was going to say I remember the German one, but I don't remember the German one. I just remember enjoying the word. I think we're all getting a little bit tired of this warm-up session. Just 3 minutes and change. Well, sorry, 2 minutes and most of the dollar left to go in this particular warm-up session before we get underway for race number 1.
Absolutely. What do you reckon is going to happen off the start stairs? We just saw in that second clean practice start, Birdo managed to slip underneath Ziras and take the lead after the first corner. So I reckon it's about six to 1.5 dozen of the other. Which one of them's going to come out on top halfway through the first lap?
I think that rear-wheel drive BMW will suit Ziras well off the line, and I can see him leading into the first corner. It is a bit of a safe answer there, but I would be certainly watching Brenton Foley in the row behind them. He's also in a BMW, and he's starting out of 4th place. So that could be interesting, whether he jumps ahead of Sam Smith or Berto. I don't see him jumping ahead of Ziras in the same car, but might get one of the front-wheel drive cars in front of him.
Yeah, his driving is erratic and fast. I think is a good way to describe it. So
Yes.
And he seems to have a very good way of keeping the revs up and the power down, even when his car is facing in the complete wrong direction.
A lot of cars left in the session still. They're probably toppling off to the loo. One last chance to do so before the race starts.
I was about to say,
Hydrated.
probably having a small pit stop, or a big pit stop if you're James.
And we've reached the moment where we've realised it's probably a little bit too late for ourselves to do the same thing. So
I was literally just thinking this exact thing. But, This is what we sign up for, to sit in the box and cross our legs.
Yeah, I've got my drink bottle. I don't have my pee bottle. And I'm certainly not going to get them confused.
No. I remember watching, we got 38 seconds, I've got time.
You do.
I remember I watched a gear video of after our friend Aaron was discussing with great enthusiasm his plans to hike the Appalachian Trail next year, which at this stage won't be happening. I watched a gear video of a lady who did the Appalachian Trail, and she had 2 rags attached to her bag. One of them was her hand drying rag, and the other one was her pee wiping rag. And she said you never want to get them confused.
Yeah, I'd make sure they're very, very different colours if I was her.
Maybe colour one of them yellow.
Yes. And make sure the other one isn't white, because then it might become yellow. If you mix it up.
Mighty confusing. We've hit 0 seconds in this particular warm-up session, which means that we are about ready for the sprint portion of tonight's race.
So, exactly right. So, you've thrown me a little bit there. Birdo is on pole position.
I do apologise.
He starts in front of Ziras. So those two off the line. It's going to be very interesting. The time difference in qualifying was very, very minimal. Just 3 hundredths of a second between Birdo and Ziras. So how that evolves over the course of a race will be very, very interesting indeed. It is a sprint, so there's no pit stop stuff to deal with. It has been Ziras's weakness in the past. So
yeah, I was about to say, I reckon that, and we saw with the stock Brazilian supercars, not the supercars, the Brazilian stock cars, that was probably his strongest season, and they were cars that you could just throw into the corners, which these seem very much to be. And it was basically a season with no strategy whatsoever, and he absolutely dominated that. So we're going to have to hope that the likes of Birdo and Sam Smith and his brother Resist can keep him honest, keep it from being the Ziras show.
Exactly right. It is going to be a very interesting first corner, I think, because although Ziras is the favourite, he's been bested in qualifying. How this first race pans out will be very, very interesting indeed. They're just getting off the line now and leading them away from pole position. Madbird is Birdo. Do you want to take us through the grid?
Absolutely. So we've got Birdo. Was probably on line for a championship last season in the DRMs, but unfortunately had to miss the last 3 or 4 races. Behind him we have the man that needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway, Ziras, 6-time champion of ARW out of the 8 seasons that we've run. Absolutely dominant is that particular man. Sam Smith behind him, also a dark horse for the championship last season, but had a couple of nasty errors towards the back end, which put him out of contention. Brenton Foley, who drives quick, but like a dickhead and annoying, in my own words, is catapulted himself up into 4th place at the very end of the qualifying session. You can see there puffs of smoke. We're going to see a lot of them from his car. Behind him we have Resist, who had that 4th position stolen from him. It was absolutely bloody daylight robbery. 1,000th of a second to Brenton Foley ahead. Behind him, Goofball Antics in the Scuderia Protonomaly Alfa Romeo car. Absolutely beautiful vehicle.
That's not what you said before the broadcast, Madbird.
Behind them we have Diesamaj in the Peniston Oil / Larson's Biscuits racing car. We've got newcomer Zellinger or Zellingier, the 2nd Black Flag Industries racing car. Behind him we've got Roadhog in the Infineon Audi Sport, Nether Realmian in the Outworld Racing team, and bringing up the rear of the grid we have Tyrrell in the 3rd BMW. So we do in fact have 3 of them.
Yes, I thought I remembered seeing another BMW earlier when you said that.
When I said we had 2, I was telling absolute filthy lies.
My apologies to Tyrrell for not catching that one.
So we've got 6th place man Goofball Antics taking a little while to get to his box.
He's made it now.
Not something I would have thought he'd have too much trouble with.
He's been a bit of an
I reckon James Diesamaj might have overshot his box a little bit. Nope, they're all lined up.
They're all lined up.
Lights are on.
And we're about to get racing in the 9th season of Apex Rear Wing, and off they go. Someone's not gone. Zalen Gear has not got it in gear by the looks of it, and he's completely stalled. But look at the lead the Ziras has already by the first corner, and look at that. My prediction has come to fruition. Brenton Foley jumps into second place.
Absolutely. I'm not sure what's happening here. I'm seeing a bunch of smoke coming from Brenton Foley's car.
Probably lockups from Ziras, I think.
That's a very good reasoning that you've deduced there. That was a sentence. But yes, Ziras, excellent start, and Brenton Foley, as you predicted, just shooting straight past Birdo, who is not letting him get away. He is right up his chuff, and behind him, Sam Smith. Behind him, Resist. So very, very close between the top 5 at the moment. Ziras is getting reeled in a little bit.
Now, Zalen Gear lost 3 spots off the start, completely missed the start. Unfortunately for him, we were looking at the back of his car on the first camera of the start of the race, and I think he just completely flat out missed it. So he actually started in 3 positions ahead of where he was. So I think that's 8th or 9th.
8th position.
There you go. So his qualifying was actually pretty decent.
Zalen Gear didn't have an in gear. That was very enjoyable. As we've got Birdo right behind Brenton Foley coming through the last corner, a lot more grip on that whatever sort of car that is, the Renault, sorry, that Birdo is in.
Yeah,
he's all
wheel.
over the back of Brenton Foley, who was sideways going through Woodcote, but no way through at Copse. It's a very tight corner. You can't really go side by side through there.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a little bit of a bottleneck, because although Foley got a really good start, I think through the corners that BMW is going to struggle a little bit. This is giving Ziras a bit of a break, although we just did see a lock-up of the front tyres there from Ziras as Foley actually slides the car into the Maggots right-hander there.
Yeah, it's a decent lead now for Ziras. He's got probably about half a second on Brenton Foley. Our live timing is having some issues on my end at least.
Yeah, it's about 1.5 on the screen here. So
Birdo right behind him. He's going to go for the inside through bridge. No way through there surely, and he thinks better of it and backs out.
Huge slide though coming into the next part of the lap there for Foley, and that's going to allow Birdo up underneath him. There he goes. He dives for the inside, completely locks up, and has to drift wide, and that is going to put him under pressure from Sam Smith around the outside. Resist buying into that as well. What an absolutely mega battle. Resist on the inside of Sam Smith out of the final corner, and he is going to jump up ahead of Sam.
He is. Sam is not giving up. He's still hanging in there, and if he's got a little bit of extra drive, he might be able to swing it around the outside of Copse. This is going to be very brave for them to go side by side through here. Sam's backed out a little bit, and Ziras slides through into the lead of that particular battle, but Sam cuts up the inside and gets the position back as they come into Maggots. That was some very clean, very good racing between the two of them.
Well, it's on for young and old here in the very first race of Season 9. And Brenton Foley still keeping Berto at bay as these two fight over each other. It's becoming a little bit of a Noah's Ark procession. I don't want to say procession because they are dicing door to door, but Ziras getting the break we thought that he might.
Yeah, this is really Foley getting the position on Birdo, although Birdo tries to go down the inside.
Oh, it's all falling apart! Resist has gone sideways as well. Beg your pardon, Manbird. Out of the corner there. It is going to be a very tall order for Birdo to get around the outside, but he manages to get there, and he's just got to get the braking right for this next part of the lap, and he gets through much better than... Oh, here we go! Another move lined up for Foley. A little bit of a lock-up from Birdo, but he keeps a position.
Absolutely. That was... and Sam Smith is so close behind these two as well. If Brenton Foley has a little bit of a slip-up, Sam is going to be through into that third place. That was a foregone conclusion. It was just when it was going to happen. But Foley is just all over the place in that car, fast but all over the place, and Birdo just being planted and composed was always going to win out in the end. Now he has to try to set out to close that gap to Ziras, which is out to 3.6 seconds.
I think Resist had a little bit of a moment there as well. We did see him have a bit of a slide, and he's lost about 0.8 of a second, so he's just fallen off the back of these two a little bit, and there's very wildly different lines from the rear-wheel drive and the front-wheel drive car. Foley and Sam Smith Very, very different driving styles, but they're glued to each other at the hip.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam with a slightly better run on the slightly better drive on the run down to Abbey Curve. He's going to try to go around the outside. Surely that can't work, and it doesn't. He messes up his braking zone and slides wide, allows Foley a little bit of an advantage, but seemed to give Sam a bit of better drive, and he's catching back up on Foley on this run down the bridge.
Yeah, Foley lost all his momentum, got it all backed up into the corner, under brakes there, and Sam Smith diving in the inside, and Foley slides his way around the bridge corner, and it is going to be Sam Smith on the inside, gets the acceleration, but Foley still has the inside as they come into Luffield, and it is going to be a drag race. I think Foley's going to have the better drive with his rear-wheel drive BMW, and this has all allowed Berto to skip away into the sunset. He's actually closed in, I think, a little bit on Ziras. The time was just for a moment under 3 seconds, although it's just crept up to 3.2. Depends, of course, on what part of the track you're on.
Absolutely. I think we've figured out where the broadcast is going to mainly be situated this season, Stez, and it is firmly on the PBF racing car and those around him, because my goodness, how is he keeping this car facing in the right direction? Sam Smith is doing his level best to just clear off past this BMW, and Foley is saying, no, my car can go as fast sideways as yours can frontways, mate.
Foley struggled a little bit with the DRMs, just with the tyres going off towards the end of the race, and we'll see these cars a little bit more predictable there, and Foley gets it all out of shape, much more so than he did on the previous lap. Gets a little bit of a helping hand from Sam Smith to right his car, but now he's lost the position and he's under pressure from Resist.
Yeah, Resist, recovering from his error earlier, is trying to put the pressure on Foley now, and Foley sideways going through Priory, but not sideways enough to cost him too much time by the looks of it. Resist just got to bide his time, try to be as smooth and quick as he can, and he will get that position over Foley, I believe. I don't think that is going to be too difficult once Foley makes a mistake, and Foley's driving style, as you say, is going to absolutely tear strips off his tyres, and there is no replacements in this particular season.
Yeah, but as the cars try and get past Foley, if it takes them a few laps, they're all going to be sort of spread out like sort of anal beads coming out. And I couldn't say that with a straight face.
Very well done. You did better than I would have. We did miss, I caught in the background, Tyrrell had a major off a couple of laps ago, which has dropped him to last place, and Zarlinger in 10th. Netherelmian down in 9th place, and ahead of them there's a little bit of a battle between Decimage and Roadhog. Just
noticed that on the other screen, so it looks like Decimage just lost that position a few moments ago. They're not too far ahead of Nether as well, who looks like he will be ready to pick up the crumbs if anything goes wrong here. So Decimage is up one position from where he started, and we'll see with interest how that battle unfolds over the course of this race.
I reckon Resist has got a run on Foley. He got it all out of shape going through Priory there.
Nothing to do.
Now right on the back of him.
It's a difficult place to get a run on someone through that corner, because if you do, you've got to get it done straight away, because you'll lose the advantage if you don't strike while the iron's hot, so to speak. And I think he's just going to continue to put Foley under pressure here, and if he makes a mistake, down into the Abbey chicane, I think, the hairpin, coming up at the end of the middle sector. He's gone wide and over the curb there, up on two wheels momentarily. That's going to hurt his momentum, and he somehow didn't lose as much time as I thought he would out of the first corner there.
No, it's unlike the current Silverstone, which I think has some different surface out there. I think it's all tarmac on this older version of Silverstone, so if he kept his foot in it, he probably didn't lose too much time going wide there, but he would have used up one of his track cuts.
Now this is the part of the track where I think he's weak. He seems to be backing the car in a lot through this corner, but he was very, very smooth and measured on that occasion.
He heard you talking about him.
Yeah, proved me to be a liar almost instantaneously.
Felt like he needed to perform.
Well, he is a performer. He swears black and blue that he's not trying to impress people when he's driving. He's not trying to be flary. It's just the way that it happens, and certainly makes it very entertaining on a hot lap. It's a great shame for yourself that you haven't been commentating on a shootout for Apex Rear Wing, because they certainly were the laps to look forward to.
I do remember, I think it was Sebring in the DRMs that I think on Roadhog's lap there was that particularly long camera angle down the back straight, or like the straight that's parallel to the start-finish straight, and as Roadhog was disappearing into the distance, Foley came screaming around the corner onto that straight with his tyres lit up like nothing else. And I think we all saw it while we were while we were actually doing the shootout, and had a good chuckle because it was just perfect Foley driving. Not even on his qualifying lap.
Berto is chipping away at the lead here. It was 3 seconds the last time I checked it, around about 2 laps ago. It's down to 2.3 now, so Berto is just taking tenths and tenths of a second out of the lead of Ziras, and there's still quite a long way to go in this race, about 9 laps or so.
Yeah, so plenty of time to make a mistake. Ziras wouldn't be chancing things, but he's not the sort of driver that can really... He doesn't really lift off or shift down a gear when he's out in the lead. He just keeps doing what he does. We got Bagsy in the chat as Dr. Joshi just saying, spewing that his pedals decided tonight was the time to commit seppuku. I think we'd all love to see the Pucara Racing or the Perca Racing car out there tonight, but it was not to be. Hopefully for next week.
Between not making tonight and the skateboard injuries, cleaning the entrail of his pedal set off the floor is probably the last thing he needed of a place that he's just moved into. So.
Absolutely, 2 skateboard injuries,
Swings
I believe.
and roundabouts.
He did the exact same thing twice and hurt himself both times. I think there's a quote about doing the same thing and expecting a different result. But
Maybe he did it slightly differently.
Maybe he did. That's very true. It's all spread out a little bit all of a sudden. It was go for about 8 laps, and then everyone sort of calmed down a little bit. Only gap under a second is Goofball Antics to Resist, and he's probably about 3 or 4 car lengths behind him. You can see him just in the back of that shot there, and indeed you can see him here.
Yeah, so Resist's charge is a little bit yo-yo like, because it wasn't too many laps ago you were saying that you expect Resist to get past Foley before long, and now he's actually coming under pressure from Goofball Antics and wearing his mirror out a little bit. The gap at the lead has been pegged a little bit. Ziras now 2.5 seconds. He was slightly quicker on the previous lap, pegged. The gap has been pegged, as in, put it there so it won't go anywhere.
Pegging is a thing that I associate with something different.
Yeah, I got you offside there with the anal beads comment there. It's completely thrown your state of mind, hasn't it?
It has. The tonal whiplash is immense. But c'est la vie.
Aims to please us.
As do the anal beads. Berto, as you say, has chipped it down to 2.4 seconds. It was about 3.6 seconds when Berto initially got clear of Brenton Foley, so it has come down by about 1.5 seconds. But I reckon that now that he can see him in his rearview mirrors, this last 2 seconds is going to be the difficult bit, because Ziras will be a wake-up now.
Yeah, but it's weird. He was catching him about maybe 0.5 second a lap not too long ago. I wonder if he's burnt through his tyres a little bit. It's almost over 3 seconds again. It's a bit the opposite of what happens when Sam Smith sees someone. He seems to get quicker when he senses that carrot.
Yeah.
It's going to hate that I'm bringing that up again.
We've discussed that Sam seems to sort of fall apart when he gets into the lead of a race because he doesn't have someone to chase.
Yeah.
He's like a tiger or something. He sees You know, he's a tiger. He sees the car ahead and he thinks that bitch Carol Baskin, and then he just has to catch her. And when there's no bitch Carol Baskin, it's like, well, what do you do with your life? Resistors caught up to Brenton Foley a little bit.
Better to not flash out that analogy.
let's move swiftly on.
Huge lockup from Brenton Foley there. That is one of the longest trails of rubber that I've ever seen.
He's trying to do a service. He's saying this is the racing line, and he's actually drawing it down. Perhaps he's giving Resist some coaching as they're driving around.
I don't know if Resist needs it. He was very, very competitive in the DRM season.
Just complete different driving styles through Abbey Curve. Just it's almost Scandinavian flicked.
Must be frustrating for goofball antics. You can see these two just out of reach ahead of him, but he doesn't just seem to be able to catch him. That last little tenth of a second is eluding him.
Now, see, Resist at this moment would be feeling acutely my self-diagnosed annoyed that Foley drives like a dickhead but is still quick, because he's seeing Foley Scandinavian flicking his BMW through pretty much every corner, and yet the gap isn't coming down. And you know, logic dictates that if your car is semi out of control, it will not be going faster than a car that is in control. But it doesn't seem to be the case.
Got an old friend of ours, former racer Ian Paul Cranich, otherwise known as Pablo, and asking for a bit of a sit rep. So it's probably as good a time as any to give you that sit rep, because, well, the championship leader is Berto. We are awarding points for pole position, and Berto was the pole sitter. However, Ziras got an absolutely mega start, and so did Foley. The rear-wheel drive BMWs looking like they're going to be lightning off the line in this championship, and so they led first and second, Ziras and Brenton Foley. Since then, Brenton Foley's had a few moments that made us go, ooh, and Berto and Sam Smith managed to get by. Resist is making his bid to get by right now, and Ziras has been leading the way, but it's been an ebbing and flowing gap between Berto and Ziras out front.
Yeah, it's still hovering at around that 2.5 second mark that it was a couple of laps ago. He's only got the 5 laps left, including the one that they've just begun, to get the job done, and I just don't see it happening. That Renault
fastest
is not
lap.
That fast. Although, as I say that, he has just pulled out the fastest lap. So
first of many commentators' curses.
Immediately proven wrong.
Don't make mistakes or make prophecies that immediately turn out to be wrong.
Absolutely beautiful. Of course, myself, Goofball Antics, and Pablo competing in Saturday in the Octane Online Racing 6 hours of Nürburgring. What was that?
In Saturday.
On Saturday.
Yes.
in the day of Saturday.
What are you racing on the AC? It's ACC, yes?
Correct. Assetto Corsa Competizione. Dr. Joshi just saying, if Foley hung his ass out anymore, he would have a job at the Crazy Horse. And I think that sums it up.
That's a local reference, so let's explain that. It is a strip joint. Not doing much business right now, it has to be said.
Consider it explained. Yes, surprisingly, during a global pandemic that is predominantly spread through close contact with other humans, lap dancing is gone right out of fashion. Who saw that coming?
I know you could put a tap-and-go FTOS machine on a boom pole.
Yeah, but I mean, the lap dance itself couldn't occur.
Oh, no, but the payment could occur. Another fastest lap for Berto.
You could do contactless safe payment, but not contactless safe. I guess you could do contactless safe lap dance. It just probably wouldn't be worth the money.
Ziras on this lap has responded to Berto with the fastest middle sector. Berto had the fastest first sector, so it's tightening up at the front. It's under 2 seconds, and Ziras is feeling the pressure, I think.
Yeah, as I've said, that I don't see it happening, and Berto's quite slow. I didn't say he was quite slow, but I didn't say he was that fast. He's done 2 fastest laps and trimmed that gap to Ziras down by about half a second, so immediately proving me wrong as discussed. D-Train 55 saying that the crazy horse ain't no palace.
Yeah, not wrong.
And Simon Yar saying F in the chat for lap dancers. Indeed.
Yeah. Oh, big slide there for Ziras. That was Foley-like. He's held it though. My goodness gracious me.
Speaking of Foley-like, I thought you were reacting to the thing I was looking at, which was Brenton Foley spinning completely out of control and letting resist and goofball antics through. It was actually uncanny. You started going, oh, as this exact thing that you're replaying was happening.
That's bizarrely fitting. There is the moment that Foley lost 2 positions, I think.
Yes, indeed. He is now down in 6th place, so he is only actually lost 2 positions from his starting position, but he did, of course, gain 2 positions off the start, which probably makes it feel a bit worse. I'm sure you'll appreciate me pointing that out. 1.6 seconds now, the lead at the front of Ziras over Birdo, so that is coming down consistently.
2 laps to go at the end of this one, and go on.
Just Pablo Paul Kranich in the chat just saying, does Ziras have bad gal on his bonnet? That is something that I thought myself during the
radical.
It says radical, but I did think it said bad/gal.
See, that's the mental headspace that we've got you in with all this talk of anal beads and lap dances. Bad gal.
He's got the cool S on the rear right quarter, and he's got "Smell You Later" on the back of his car.
It's all 90s themed.
Birdo is increasingly smelling Ziras at this stage.
He's got traffic to deal with as well. Tyrrell's just up ahead, so Ziras will want to be getting on the blower to Tyrrell and hoping that he gets out of the way. I reckon his tyres are a little bit shot there. He was all at sea through Luffield there on that lap, and the gap is 1.3 seconds with 2 laps to go. Tyrrell getting out of the way and moving to the inside. Very, very well done there.
Absolutely, although he's not going to help Birdo out. He pulls back onto the racing line to take the first corner. Does get out of the way coming out though. So, yeah, I was going to say Ziras sort of tapped the inside curb going through Luffield, and then that spat him wide a little bit, and he had to get out of the throttle. So much tyre smoke as he's braking into maggots. Just doesn't seem to have too much confidence. The gap is under a second now.
Yeah, I think Ziras might have made a mistake in the first sector there.
Birdo is so much quicker at this stage, just much more planted. Seems to be able to get the power down a lot more effectively than the rear-wheel drive BMW.
So this is pretty much the closest battle on the track. Resist and Goofball Antics, the other two, who are potentially in dispute of a position, but I think the battle for the lead is what we want to be looking at right now, with just one mistake possibly the deciding factor in this race for Ziras. He'll be very, very nervous.
It really does look like bad /gal now that I'm looking at it. I did watch a couple of the practice races in the pre-season testing, and all of Ziras's onboards, his wheel was soaring at that thing like crazy. So this isn't completely foreign territory to him, the way that he's driving at the moment. It just probably wouldn't be helping his tyres any, but we are on the last lap now, and the gap has not come down, so I think it's going to take a big mistake from Ziras for Birdo to take the win here at Silverstone.
Oh, it was a little bit wide through that corner there. It's down to half a second. I think as you said that, Birdo did close in a couple of tenths of a second, but it's going to take probably a bit of a mistake in the sort of Priory, Luffield and Woodcote section of the racetrack. We've seen him sideways through there on the last 2 or 3 laps, and I think that will be Birdo's best opportunity. Ziras just wants to make sure that he gets good exits out of all of these corners, but I think his tyres are hurting a little bit.
Yeah, those rear tyres probably absolute 50-cent pieces at this stage. Birdo's would be looking quite a bit better. Half a second the gap, as you said, as they're coming through Priory and entering the Luffield complex. It's looking clean for Ziras. It's looking clean. It's not looking clean, but it's looking clean enough for the race win.
Here we go. And much more at home there on that lap than on the previous lap.
He's kept it tidy through the last corner of Woodcote, and he crosses the line to take the race win here in race 1, round 1.
Terrific job there from Ziras, and a really mega effort from Berto to close that down and make the win something that Ziras had to work for. And behind them, rounding out the podium, is Sam Smith. So it's Ziras, Berto and Sam Smith out front. It's going to be Resist who finishes in 4th place, a little bit further behind Sam. And then Goofball Antics crosses the line in 5th in the Alfa Romeo. A bit of a gap there to Brenton Foley with that late spin, losing 2 positions. He'll be disappointed with that. Nether Elmion's going to finish in 7th place, so we didn't actually see that, but he got past both D-Smash and Roadhog, who were battling. So well done to Nether for finding 3 positions from where he started this race, and D-Smash and Roadhog finishing not too far behind, with Zalingier, the last man on the lead lap, with Tyrrell in 11th.
Yeah, Tyrrell doing some celebratory burnouts at the runoff of turn 1 there. You can see the squiggly 11s that he's left with that Captain Morgan banner. Wonder if that's had an influence tonight.
It's like both the leaders have run out of fuel.
It looks as if everyone's jumping back to the pits. Bloody good race.
It was a good race.
Especially the first. It sort of calmed down after the first 8 laps, but the first 8 laps were absolutely mega. Very tight battling for the top 4. And now that we've got our podium sitters, they are hopping down into the box with us. So, Ziras, congratulations. Mega start, and then it was all kind of simple from there. You just had to keep it straight and keep it fast. How'd you find the first race?
So the first half was good. I didn't really feel any pressure, so I wasn't pushing my tyres too hard, able to save them a bit. And then, of course, Berto passed Foley finally and started piling in fastest laps and just slowly etching away the lead. So it was quite good, quite high pressure race.
It looked like you were struggling a bit with tyres at the end. Were they starting to hurt?
Yeah, a bit, but also I think I was just cracking a bit, which is unusual. Like I was looking at my fuel and thinking, oh shit, do I have enough? Which I had half a litre left at the end, so yeah.
That's cutting it about as close as you can get it. And Stairs, I believe you have second place man Berto.
Well, Berto pole position, so you get the point that we've been talking about that is available to pole sitters, and so you were leading the championship for the briefest of moments, but it hurts the pain. The pain is a little bit reduced to finishing second in that race by having that pole position point, just 2 points between you instead of the normal 3 points that it would be. So with that said, how was the race? Good job closing down and putting Ziras under some pressure.
Yeah, that was close. That's probably the worst start I think I've ever had. Or one of the worst I've ever had. And then these cars, once you catch someone, getting past someone's a totally different story. So had to take a couple of risks to get past Foley. And then was driving at 105%. To try and catch Ziras, which wasn't making any headway. And then, yeah, that second half of that race, the car came on really well and was able to just bang in fastest lap after fastest lap. And, yeah, so close. Another couple of laps, and I reckon we would have been right on him.
So we talked about it in the race, but we thought maybe that the rear-wheel drive BMWs would be getting better starts than the front-wheel drive cars. And it certainly seemed to be the case with Foley and Ziras leading out of the first corner. But was that the cars, or was that just you guys?
That was gearing on my part. But, yeah, the rear-wheel drives probably get a little bit less wheel spin, but it's nothing for the four-wheel drives. The four-wheel drives fly off the line.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on second place. Just 2 points between you and Ziras, and you'll be starting the reverse grid from the back. That'll be entertaining.
Yeah, getting through the field is an absolute challenge, so we'll see how we go.
It'll be a test of racecraft. Turning our attention now to Sam Smith, Madbird. I believe you've got him alongside you.
I do, with clean feet. Sam Smith, very close racing for the first few laps there until you managed to get through on Foley. How'd you find it?
It was really good fun, but then after that, it was absolutely boring. I couldn't those guys at all, and I was just sitting in the middle doing nothing.
Give us the doorknob.
Yeah. Yeah, we noticed that after about lap 7, everyone had sort of spread out a little bit. It didn't look like you had the pace to live with Birdo, who was edging his gap down to Ziras ahead, and you were pushing your gap out from Brenton Foley behind. So you were kind of just in no man's land, hey?
I was really just hoping they'd crash. That's all I had. I had nothing.
Well, at least look forward to the reverse grid race. You're gonna have 7 cars ahead of you.
Look forward to it.
Absolutely. Back to you, Stairs.
Thank you. And I've just noticed that on the live timing, Ziras' vehicle says, "I'm feeling fat and sassy." So that's a little Easter egg for you if you are on arwleague.liveraces.com, where we've got the latest results and you can see qualifying and live results as they happen.
Absolutely. So that's the sprint race portion of round 1 over with. We now just have the reverse grid left to go, so it will be reverse grid results from the first race. So we'll have Ziras starting from the very tippy tail of the grid with Birdo and Sam Smith ahead of him. So look forward to that, Stairs.
Yeah, that is going to be a very, very exciting and a huge test of who can make their way through the quickest in these cars, which, as Birdo detailed, can be quite tricky, especially with the different characteristics of the front wheel, the rear wheel, and the all-wheel drive cars. So very much look forward to that one. I think we'll take a short break, and on the other side we'll bring you all the action from race number 2. Don't go anywhere. Here we are, approaching the hay plains. We've got Evie, or Goofball Antics is driving. What's happening? And on the other side there is Madbird. It's me. And Stairs here, repping in the back seat. Behind us. Oh, let's not worry about that magazine. we got Resist and Ziras in the front there. Resist driving. How have you felt about the trip so far, Heath?
It's been good. It's a bit of an early start. It's nice and cool in here, and that's all that matters. Good company.
Yeah, it's a pretty hot day today, isn't it, Madbird?
Feels weird being a passenger in my own car.
We're 6 hours in, about 7 hours to go. See you in Bathurst.
Oh my goodness! How are you feeling after that turn there, Heath? Or that not turn, but that truck turning? That's,
Truck turn.
Yeah, that looked like it unsettled you slightly.
Are there any cucumbers back there, Stairs? Because that'd be the only thing cooler than me right now.
Oh, he's done it.
This coke's pretty cool.
What an absolute legend. So we're on the way to West Wyalong. We got assorted snacks with our walkie-talkie, and we don't have a rubbish bag. Do we, Stairs?
No.
I appreciate it.
We don't have a rubbish bag. That was an oversight.
So the marching order is the same as before. I believe Phil is still driving in the other car.
Yep.
We are about 400 k's now from Bathurst, and it's all looking very exciting. I'm very keen, and I'm really happy that Alistair has these very loud walkie-talkies.
Fuck. Do you want to check in with the other cars, see if they've got anything to say to the other?
Oh my gosh.
Matt Carr to Fabmobile, do you read?
What?
Take that as a yes. Do you have a question for them?
How's your drive going?
Oh, how's the drive going? Everything going well on your part?
Yep, it sure is the countryside.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there.
Good talk.
Good talk. Anyway, good talking to you.
So that's about it. We're on our way, and we'll be in Bathurst this evening. I'm very excited to stretch my legs. Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to Silverstone for the first round of the Apex Rear Wing Season 9 British Touring Car Championship. My name is Stairs, and I'm joined in the commentary box tonight by Madbird, who's stepping out of racing duties and into the commentary box for this Apex Rear Wing season.
Absolutely. We've just had the first race, the sprint race portion of the evening, and now we are in for the reverse grid race. So, as you will be able to see in a moment, sitting at the tippity top of the field in pole position is Tyrrell and Nether has just failed to begin moving, and he has now begun moving. But Tyrrell, an unlikely pole sitter in most races, I don't think it's unfair to say, but he is on pole here at the moment because of the reverse grid. Stairs, why don't you take us through?
So he will be in the BMW, which we saw gets off the line fairly well, but does it get off the line as well in the hands of Tyrrell? We will see. Zarling Gear didn't get a great start in the first race, but let's see if he can improve in his Honda Accord on the front row of the grid. Behind him, Roadhog in the Audi, and I would watch out for him off the start, quite frankly. I reckon he could give us a surprise or two. Behind him is Desamaj. Those two were battling each other quite well in the first race, and Nether, the guy who got ahead of both of them, probably much to his chagrin in this current moment, because he has to start behind them as it is, but he's got past them once, he can do it again. Brenton Foley starts behind him in 6th, and watch out for him off the start. He was the one who went 2 spots up where he started in race number 1, and I would expect the same from him again, especially in this reverse grid race. Goofball Antics will be starting behind him in the Alfa Romeo, and then is Resist in the second Honda Accord, starting out of 8th place. Sam Smith, the podium sitter from race 1, and then our 2 guys who battled it out for the lead in race 1, Birdo and Ziras, will be battling it out at the back of the grid.
Good stuff. Yeah. So I reckon that as you said, Roadhog is going to be a bit of a dark horse into this start. He's going to be starting directly behind Tyrrell, who will be starting on pole position. So I reckon it is not at all unlikely that Roadhog will manage to sail on through. Hopefully Zarling Gear this time can find a gear, as you said in the first race, and doesn't back up everybody behind him. But I guess that all remains to be seen. We've got the last few cars lining up on the grid. Ziras has just come to a stop, and as has Birdo. And we are ready here to be racing reverse grid in Silverstone.
Lights are on. Lights are off. It's green, and we are racing here in Silverstone for race 2 of round 1 of season 9, and it's 2 wide as they go. Look at Roadhog challenging Tyrrell down the inside. It wasn't a great start again for Zarlingier, but he's still in 3rd place, so he's only lost 1 spot. Meanwhile, who's made positions off the start? I think Ziras is ahead of Tyrrell, of Birdo.
And Foley made up the position on Nether off the start by the looks of it. So he's managed to squeeze that car in there. We've got Zarlingier and Decimage side by side. Now Decimage and Foley side by side.
We've got a car that's resist on his roof. He's gone sliding off to the side. So what on earth? The Ziras is on his roof as well. What on earth happened there? Unbelievable.
Well, that's been happening. Roadhog's managed to get through for the lead, but I'm much more interested to find out how those two cars ended up on their roofs. My goodness.
It's completely... I don't know how Ziras ended up on his roof because it happened off camera. We're going to have to try and find it on board. And that will hopefully answer the question. There was a bit of door-to-door between Goofball Antics and Resist. And yeah, that was just a very strange accident. Then Ziras tried to go around the outside of Goofball Antics and just got up on his roof. So that is a disaster for the championship leader.
Absolutely is. That is a damn shame. Sam Smith, meanwhile, the third place man, is currently in third place again, about to be in second place.
Wow.
I believe. He's had an incredible run up through the field.
Birdo fifth as well.
Birdo must be said. Yeah, the two of the podium sitters have had a very good run, and the one that hasn't is because he somehow wound up on his roof.
Yeah, it was some strange physics going on there. Just a little bit of door-to-door in the wrong spot, and that caused the two brothers to end up on their roofs, 10th and 11th place. So Roadhog leads the way. Sam Smith has managed to jump up ahead of Tyrrell into second place, and Berto is in fourth place, knocking on the back of Netherelmian's Nissan.
Knocking on the back of the Datsun. Yeah, I'm still trying to come to terms with that a little bit.
Here we go. This is Berto going around the outside. And Sam Smith has had a moment up ahead of Tyrrell, and they go 2 by 2, side by side, and Tyrrell gets back ahead of Sam Smith. Look at this, it's almost 3 wide through bridge, and that was very close. Nether makes a position up ahead of Sam Smith. Good racecraft there, but Sam Smith is going to duck up underneath as Tyrrell was dealing with Nether. Look at that again, 3 wide, 2 wide, with Berto getting the position back on Nether. Decimage has snuck through as well. Brenton Foley with a watching brief. Hard to know where to look.
Absolutely, this is insane. Only a couple of corners ago, Sam Smith had gone very deep and was in danger of losing that second place. Now he is all over it, like Rash on someone who's been in something itchy, and he is hung onto that second place. Berto up into third place, emphatically having taken that from Tyrrell, who's still in fourth place. So very good effort there for Tyrrell so far. Although Netherelmian currently trying to divest him of that fourth place, and it looks as like he has indeed done so.
There we go, a bit of contact there between Brenton Foley and Decimage. Decimage sneaks in there as well. Goofball Antics, unseen to us, has had a huge moment somewhere and has dropped behind Ziras and Resist into 11th place.
Yeah, I'm going back to see if I can find a replay of whatever that incident was that caused that error. Meanwhile, out the front, Roadhog has got a lead of about 3 seconds, but that is going to come down very quickly, I imagine.
Yeah, Sam Smith now with a bit of clean air ahead of Berto. We're sticking with this midfield battle for the time being. Looks like it's just sorting itself out right now after what was a chaotic second lap.
I believe what's happened to Goofball Antics, I think he has self-penalised himself and slowed right down to allow the brothers of Ziras and Resist to go ahead of him, and that is indeed what's happened. So,
but he's 6 seconds behind Resist, so he's given himself a bit more than a penalty. I don't know that. I only saw it once, but it didn't look like it was his fault to me.
It looked yeah. I'd probably have to see it again, but he obviously felt like he was the offending party, and he has penalised himself to the tune of last place.
Well, we've got Sue Smith, mother of Sam, watching along, and she'll be happy to know that her son has just set the fastest lap of the race in pursuit of race leader Roadhog, currently in second place after. Well, he got up to second place and then he damn near lost it with a huge tussle, and then he's got himself back up there again.
Yeah, and he's cut that lead to Roadhog down to a second. So Roadhog got while the getting was good early on in the race, but it's only taken until lap 4 for that advantage to be all but eradicated. And Sam Smith is slowly but surely reeling him in. He complained in the interviews that he was quite bored in the last race because he had no one to race with. At this stage, it's looking like he's going to be racing with Roadhog in the immediate future, and potentially Birdo if Birdo can catch up to the back of him.
Yeah, I think he'll be hoping that Birdo has some difficulty passing Roadhog, assuming, of course, that Sam Smith can clear Roadhog easily. And if that happens, then that might give Sam a bit of a buffer before Birdo gets by. We saw, of course, that Birdo took a little bit of time to pass Brenton Foley in race number 1, and that gave Ziras the buffer he needed to win that race.
Yeah, I think these cars are... The straight line speed of these cars isn't that disparate. As you can see there in that long shot, there were still about 5 or 6 cars in the shot. So all the time and all the overtakes are going to happen in the corners, which Roadhog isn't a slouch when it comes to defending, so he may very well prove a bit faster to pass than he has been.
Oh, he's gone wide. He's just bowled it down off the track at Maggots. And yeah, that was incredibly instant, that commentator's curse, and I think Birdo's going to get through here.
Yep. I'm on it tonight, aren't I? I think that's 2 or 3 times so far where I've said something that has immediately, emphatically been proven to be incorrect. So,
well, it's still a good barometer if you're consistent in that. They'll know to completely disregard anything you say.
Assume that whatever I'm saying is rubbish. So Roadhog has lost 2 positions so far this lap. He's now back to his starting position of 3rd, which if he can hold on to that, get a podium, he probably won't be too miffed that he hasn't hung on to 1st or 2nd.
So Brenton Foley on the recovery trail is putting Nether under some pressure here in the final part of the lap, and I think that with the pace that he's been showing, he should be able to get past Nether. Currently, they have about a 1.5 seconds to Decimage behind, and up ahead is Roadhog, the previous race leader, and Brenton Foley feinting to the inside of Cops Corner, but then tucking back in. I don't think that's particularly good opportunity to pass as he gets it all sorts of sideways out of the first corner there.
Yeah, he's a scary man to have in your rearview mirror, is Foley, because it constantly looks like he's out of control, and you're always trying to allow for a little bit of extra room in case you need to dive out of the way of him spearing off the track. That looked like it was close. As he's trying to go down the outside at Abbey Curve. He might have a good run of this.
Oh, he's trying to drive
Nether
around the outside. Well. He is a very good defender, is Nether, and has done very well there to keep Brenton Foley at bay, but Brenton Foley has the outside run around the bridge corner, and if he can carry more speed, that'll give him the inside for the next part of the lap.
Yeah, much more acute angle of that corner though, but he just backs it in instead. Doesn't seem to hurt him too much. Nether trying to poke his nose up, but managed to pull just out enough.
Good racing.
And Decimage behind is buying into this battle.
Most certainly is. Now, actually, we've got a race on for the lead, so we're going to have to cut away from that. Sorry, guys, because Birdo has caught up to Sam Smith. That didn't take very long at all.
No, it didn't. Sam, very brave there, turning in and trusting of Birdo. They do a lot of practice together, these guys, so they know each other's racing styles very, very well. This is going to be an interesting battle to watch unfold, and for all the Sam Smith fans in the audience, which I think is everyone, I don't think it's possible not to like Sam Smith.
Oh, he's bowled it off!
What have I done?
Exactly the same place where Roadhog, not a lap ago, gave that position to... Oh my goodness, I have to laugh because Paul Credits
I should stop talking.
Paul Credits said, please don't say anything nice about me. You did exactly the same thing to Sam Smith, and Berto has pressured Sam into a mistake, and the blue-wheeled Renault has taken the lead.
My goodness, I'm in slight shock. I don't look forward to the podium interviews afterwards when I have to explain that all of their mistakes were due to me. Pablo just saying, "Oh my God," presumably in response to my causing that accident for Sam Smith. But this isn't over and done with. The gap is still under a second, despite that big off that he had. So let's see if he can, as we discussed, and as he hates for us to bring up, he does perform better when there's a carrot. and currently Birdo is providing that carrot.
True, but Berto has had metronomic pace tonight. I do want to look at this midfield battle though, because it's quite tight between Roadhog, Brenton Foley, Nether and D-Samaj, all separated by about 2 seconds or so, and the closest part of that is D-Samaj on the back of Nether for 5th place, and behind them is Ziras to the tune of around about 8 seconds, and he's on the recovery trail, and he's going to have to churn out some pretty quick laps to try and get up ahead of these guys. Done it before though.
Yeah, absolutely. It wouldn't be the first time he's recovered from the back of the grid, and well, even further behind than just the back of the grid. He lost quite a lot of time being on his roof. Just got someone in the chat. We've got 4XLMER asking what mod is this. It is the 1996 BTTC or BTCC.
BTCC.
It's a confusing acronym to say. It is the 1996 BTCC championship mod for Automobilista, with custom liveries. I don't think there's a Larson's Biscuits / Peniston Oils.
I thought it was Peniston.
Is it Peniston? I guess that makes a lot more sense than Peniston.
It's a Top Gear thing. You did know that,
Roadhog.
right?
I did know that, yes.
Very
of course
good.
I knew
Oh,
that.
you're just checking.
Please.
That's all right. Roadhog is a person.
Roadhog is a person who is currently in 3rd place. And Brenton Foley is rapidly trying to make that not be a thing that is currently happening. My goodness, my words. Sam Smith has not managed to close that gap down. It is
It's
ballooned
1.7
at
seconds.
1.5.
Yes. So these two battles over 4th and 5th, and 3rd and 4th. Sorry, 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th, I should say. It is now D-Samaj challenging Nether down the inside. Very, very difficult place here to make the move at the entrance to the Maggots complex because of the way that the circuit goes left and right, and it's difficult to get the run. Up ahead though, we've still got the battle continuing between Brenton Foley and Roadhog. Brenton Foley trying to drive around the outside here as they go into the Abbey hairpin, and it looks like he might have the job done there, Brenton.
Yeah, Roadhog got all out of shape at the coming into the island complex, and the exact same place where I gave him the commentator's curse on a previous lap. I was about to say something, but then I didn't. So it goes to prove that even just thinking positive things can cause these drivers to fly off the track. So I'll have to cease all thought, but he got well out of shape, and that gave Foley all the run he needed down into Abbey to take it around the outside. Roadhog now has to worry about the Netherelmian Outworld Racing Team car, the Nissan right behind him, and by extension, D-Samaj's Peniston Oils racing car right on the back of
D-Samaj is on a bit of a run right now, and he's feeling quite racy. I reckon he would fancy his chances against these two.
Reckon that was a track cut?
Well, I was going to say we'll find out when the time does or doesn't come up on our live timing, but it's not working for me right now, so that's a bit of a bugger.
If that wasn't a touch, that was as close as you're going to get.
Yeah, I think there was.
Right on the back of that Nissan.
There was a little bit of Morse code on the rear of Nether's Nissan, and Ziras is catching up. I said 9 seconds not long ago, didn't I? It's now 4 seconds. And Ziras will be fancying his chances against these guys. Bit of a lock-up from the car ahead, which is Roadhog.
Yeah, D-Samaj just doing his level best to get through on Nether, and I think he got a little bit too close going through the hairpin and had to back out of it because he's lost about half a second to Nether. But he's setting about cutting that right back down, and he appears to be doing so. But Nether very good at defending at the best of times, and these are probably pretty good times. Although, as I say that, he goes very deep going into the Luffield complex, and allows D-Samaj a look around the outside at Luffield corner, but manages to block him out. So it's a run down to the first corner again for these two.
Look who's behind them though, closing in like Jaws.
Absolutely. Let's hope for their sake that they have a fire extinguisher handy that they can chuck into into Ziras's gaping bonnet.
Bigger Boatley.
Need a bigger Boatley. Oh, that is excellent. As Nether has gone a little bit, he got a little bit of a lockup going into Maggots, but he managed to pull it up.
That's because you didn't say he was a nice guy. That's why he managed to pull it up.
I should just insult all these people on a constant basis, and then we'll have flawless racing.
Well, we've had a retirement. Goofball Antics is out of the race as Decimage has a look down the inside of Nether. Doesn't pull the move off, and that puts Ziras right on his rear quarter panel.
I reckon that would have been an overtake that would have been looked at regardless, since Decimage was all four wheels off the inside of the track to try to cut around the inside of Nether there. Luckily didn't come off, but what is coming off at the moment is the paint on the very rear of James's car, as it is being rubbed at by the BMW of Ziras recovering from the back.
Good chance to hear the engines there, which I did notice. Oh, my neck. I just cricked it. I did notice that our friend Michael Zalavari commented.
Are you alright?
He liked the engine noises. Yeah, I think I'm alright. I just don't know how I did that.
You are 30 this year.
Yes, but not yet.
It's the age of inexplicable body aches that
My housemate hurt her knee getting off the toilet, and I won't say which one it is, but I think I may have just given it away. So this is Ziras on the outside, trying to get the move done on James. Oh, Nether's gone a little bit wide. They're 3 wide. How does Decimage lose out there? I think he backed out of it. Nether manages to hang on. Decimage loses out to Ziras. What a strange little moment that was.
Absolutely. James with a Decimage with a almighty dive, I think, and he had to peel off all of his speed, like the film covering a rub-on tattoo, and it didn't do him any benefit. What he's going to hope for now is that Nether loses time trying to defend from Ziras, and Decimage can then slip on through like a lubricated. I'm not going to even.
He has to be close
there.
enough, though. I'm going to cut you off so you don't go there. And I think he is going to have to be right up behind Ziras to make that work. Ziras, it's hard to tell. I think Nether's going to go off the track there at turn 1. He's gone a little bit wide. Does Ziras get the run that he needs, or did Nether carry enough speed? It's going to be mighty close as they get down to the Maggots complex, and Nether just had enough in hand. We can see a little bit of smoke from the car ahead, which is Roadhog. He's only 2 seconds up the road, so I think Ziras is going to spy 4th as potentially the best he can get here with 4 laps to go. If he can get by Nether quickly, he will be able to get up the road and catch up to Roadhog potentially. He's got to get this job done first. Round the outside, he's going to try. Nether's got the inside. Decimage is going to stick his nose in there, and Ziras hasn't managed to get the job done yet, but here they go side by side with a better run. Ziras down to the bridge corner is going to clear Nether, and he gets it done finally.
Absolutely. So Roadhog will be in that cockpit of that Audi ahead going, damn, as he sees that Ziras has been released by the Nissan of NetherElmian behind him. NetherElmian now having to worry about Decimage, who's immediately resumed bumping on his rear. Nether being able to see the words "Maniac" written in reverse on the front bumper of James's car.
So Nether and Decimage, the battle resumes, and Decimage putting Nether under all sorts of pressure. There wasn't a huge breather there for him.
Yeah, it's he didn't buy himself much time at all, did Nether. He's gone from the frying pan to the fire, as it were, or I guess Ziras is more likely to be the fire in that particular scenario, and he's dove directly into the frying pan of Decimage.
Now this is going to be interesting how Ziras deals with Roadhog. He's caught up for 3 or 4 seconds very, very, very quickly indeed. Look, he's almost within striking distance already.
Yeah, Roadhog just doesn't seem to have the pace at the moment in that Audi. He has managed to keep Ziras behind through Abbey Curve, but that gap has come down to under a second in very little time, basically no time at all. It's actually about 0.2 of a second is the gap, and this is where Ziras, I think, is very strong through these through the Luffield section. He tries to go around the outside, going into Luffield corner. If he gets it done, he might have a very good run down the start-finish straight. He had to look like he got squirted on the throttle a tiny bit, and Roadhog has hung on to that fourth place. But Ziras all the way right up behind him, getting a decent run down into the first corner. They're not going to go side by side, surely. Ziras will know better than to do that.
Yeah.
He follows him through, and I reckon into the corner just before the island chicanes will be where Ziras makes his move.
Well, we've seen a few mistakes down into this corner here on occasion, especially when the car in front is under pressure. But Roadhog, cool as a cucumber through there, hangs on for the time being. This will be another opportunity when they get down to the Abbey corner. That hairpin has proved to be many an overtaking spot, and I think Ziras is going to try around the outside here. It's a very good move to try and outbrake the car on the outside. If you can hang on the outside, it gives you the inside for the next part, but he hasn't managed to do that. There's a little bit of lap traffic in the way. In fact, that's not lap traffic, that's Brenton Foley recovering from a mistake, and they go 3 wide through bridge. This is for the podium.
Oh! And Roadhog manages to take third place around the outside. Beautiful racing by Roadhog. So he is now back up onto the podium positions. Brenton Foley, not sure what happened there.
Ziras has lost it. He's round, and Ziras' chance at a podium goes begging. I don't think he'll be able to catch that much up. I may eat my words in 2 laps, but he's back under pressure from Nether, and now it's Brenton Foley and Roadhog fighting over the podium spots.
Absolutely, and this, I was going to say, that was probably the best thing that could have happened for Roadhog, because then Ziras and Foley would have been squabbling, but now he's got a completely focused Foley, and by completely focused, I mean that he is entirely focused on the rear of that Audi rather than on the BMW behind him of Ziras, and he's trying to go down the inside at Maggots. That's never going to work, and he's right up the back of Roadhog going into the corner before the island curves. But Roadhog has managed to keep himself nice and composed through there, and he's held on to that third position at the moment. All this Christmas is coming at once, Roadhog.
3rd through 7th, separated only by 4 seconds, 3 seconds even. That's remarkably close at the end of this reverse grid. Considering it had spread out, it has closed back up again. All because of that mistake from Brenton Foley, and now Roadhog puts 4 wheels into the grass, and that has cost him 3rd place as Brenton Foley swoops by onto the podium once again. Brenton Foley is going to come under pressure on the inside though, as Roadhog looks down there, but he gives up on that one, probably wisely I should think, and Ziras is looming large in their mirrors once again with just over 1 lap to go in this race.
He absolutely is. Roadhog's just got to do his level best to keep the pressure on Foley, try to force an error. We know that he's susceptible to them because he's made that same error at Abbey Curve 2 races in a row. But now he's got Ziras all over the back of him. Ziras is going to want that 4th place all for himself, and he has got such a run down into the first corner, but nowhere to go with it.
Yeah, this is allowing Brenton Foley to get away a little bit. After throwing it away, he would have been angry with himself, but he's been handed it back. He's a very, very lucky man indeed, as Roadhog and Ziras go side by side, and Ziras, I thought when we panned around we were going to see Ziras facing us backwards, but he's somehow managed to save the mother of all slides there. A terrific job, and he holds on in 4th place.
I've just noticed behind them that through all of this, D-Samaj still hasn't managed to get that position on Nether.
Nice, good job from Nether.
It's very good defensive driving from Nether, as D-Samaj probably incredibly frustrated in that car.
So the race leader, Berto, is just coming around the last complex of corners right now, so he's going to win the race by 5 seconds from Sam Smith. A terrific performance from Berto, who is going to take the championship lead. I believe he did the same thing in the first race in the DRM Championship. Well done to Berto, and a great job from Sam Smith for finishing 2nd. Question is, who is going to finish 3rd?
Absolutely. Foley's only got one more turning section that he could possibly screw up on, and it looks like he's kept it all in straight and tidy fashion through there. So he's going to cross the line in third place. Bet Foley didn't expect that, and he will be very happy with a podium in the first round. And Ziras, who by all rights probably should be up there on the podium, if not for a escapade on his roof during the first lap. But a excellent recovery from Ziras, as we always come to expect, recovering up to fourth place. Roadhog defended valiantly till the end, takes home fifth place. Very, very easily could have been third. And Netherelmian with
it's pretty close actually between Nether and Decimage across the line, but that's weird. On my screen it's showing Decimage and Nether in 6th and 8th, despite finishing almost.
Yeah, and I'm seeing Resist as in 7th, so
that's a bit strange. Resist was behind them both after the first lap.
Wonder if
incident.
there was a tangle that we missed during the last lap.
Yeah, but the timing is right. So it's showing 36 seconds to Resist and then 26 for Nether and Decimage. So it looks like a bit of an Automobilista snafu.
It's a perfect game. We like to. Yeah, I'm watching it back. James was right behind him all the way to the line, so not sure what happened there.
We caught it on the broadcast. It was very, very close finish. Decimage almost got Nether, but it was good defending from Nether, and he held on. Zalingear
9th. Decent first showing for his first race with ARW.
Twas.
And Tyrrell 10th. And Goofball Antics, the only DNF after that first lap tangle, which he seemed to take the blame for. So that's the reverse grid race, Des.
That was. We're just waiting for some of the podium sitters to come in, and we'll have a bit of a chat with them. But very, very interested to hear Brenton Foley's story there. We didn't catch what happened to him with that spin, but he got out of jail free a little bit, didn't he?
Absolutely. I was expecting Roadhog to be in here, to be honest, but not to say that I'm disappointed with who we do have. Brenton Foley, how did that happen?
A lot of silly mistakes and just not being adjusted to these cars at all at the moment. I was experiencing a lot of oversteer on entry to the corner under brakes, which is something that I really haven't had to encounter before, and I don't know how to fix it at the moment. But overall, pretty stoked with third, considering the amount of mistakes that I made that race.
Yeah, it was. I said a couple of times that it looked like you were putting on an absolute clinic of driving in an annoyingly fast fashion. I think that's what I said last season, or driving like a dickhead, but being very fast while doing so. Is it just the rear wheel drive that it doesn't seem to be sticking for you, or is it something to do with these cars particularly? It took you a little while to get to grips with the rear wheel drive Ford Capri and the DRMs.
The DRMs were very different. I'm generally pretty good in touring cars. Like I like V8s, and I'm pretty good at the AMS Oz front wheel drive touring cars, but these ones feel completely different to me, this BMW, so it's going to take me a bit to get used to it. It may look like it's just my style sliding around, but honestly, that race, I was really trying not to, and I was just hanging on. So it's something I definitely need to work on, because it punishes you, these cars, when you're slidey.
It's good to know, Stez. I believe you've got second place man Sam Smith.
Yeah, great start from you, Sam. It was quite exciting, the opening laps there, and it must have been quite chaotic making your way through to lead early on.
Yeah, it was hilarious seeing those two cars flip. and then I don't know whether I may have caused a bit of a tangle into the braking zone. I don't know, did you see that?
It didn't look like it from our perspective. We only caught one replay, and I don't remember seeing anyone specifically at fault there. But
I did lose the rear end pretty bad, but geez, those cars flying was hilarious.
I'm not sure if they thought so, but
loved it.
Certainly the seas parted for you.
Exactly.
And then getting ahead, you had the lead, but Berto very, very fast closed you down. And tell us about that.
really hard when you know you're far slower and you can't do anything about it, and you're just thinking, how am I going to block for the next 15 laps? And then I was just thinking about that, and then went straight through in the braking.
Yeah, I think you can blame Madbird for that. He said something very nice about you immediately before that happened.
Yeah. No, it was really disappointing.
Very good. Well, second place and a third place, so a good start to your campaign.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Very good. Madbird, you've got the race winner and championship leader, Berto.
Absolutely. You seem to. We looked at where you and Sam Smith were, Berto, at the end of I think the second lap, and you'd found your way back up into the podium positions. And as Sam says, you seem to just sort of breeze effortlessly through.
More ass than class. There was cars going everywhere in those first 2 laps, and somehow managed to avoid it all. Particularly, I think it was Tyrrell, myself, Sam, and Nether coming through the bridge. That was super intense, crazy, insane, and 4 of us all trying to get to the same spot of track. So that was a fluke.
Very, very, very well done underselling yourself there. How did you find it once you got through the melee? Did you just put your head down and coasted for the last few laps, or were you pushing until the end?
Yeah, was pretty happy with the setup. And if I take the foot off the gas, I tend to make mistakes. So I'd found a consistent rhythm and just tried to keep my pace as best as I could.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on your championships lead. Just like last season in the DRMs, you leave round 1 in the lead of the championship. You must be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's look, a lot of practice, lots of hours, lots of helping people out and seeing how things work. So, I tend to have my head around things at this stage of the season, then give it another 2 or 3 races, and I'm sure everyone will start catching up.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. Thank you very much, Berto, Brenton, and Sam Smith.
Cheers, guys.
All right, well, that was round 1 of the 9th season of Apex Rear Wing. I think that based on what tonight delivered, there's a lot that we can expect in the weeks to come. The very next round of the Apex Rear Wing BTCC Championship takes place, Madbird, from the Alton Park International layout next week. So we're visiting a lot of classic old British circuits, lots of undulation, short layouts, tricky layouts, very fast corners. Should be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, Alton Park is one of my favourites, so I'm very, very keen for that one. And I'll be here in the box either with yourself or possibly with Matty Dunlop.
Absolutely. We will see you then. So, in the meantime, we're going to go and get a beer. See ya.
See you later.